Hi guys, it's Carissa and this is TTW number 34. If you are newer to my channel or you're just unfamiliar with what TTW is, TTW stands for Things This Week, and it was thought up by Lisa Marie TTC. I will link her channel and information below. And basically, it is a nice way for us all to get to know each other little by little with short series of questions based on certain topics every week. And it's kind of a nice escape from trying to conceive and thinking about trying to conceive and watching videos about it. It's just a nice break from all of that. So that is what this is. And this week, TTW is themed around being sick because Lisa was sick last week, and I don't know if you can tell, but I'm not feeling so hot either. I don't know what's wrong with me. I have a sore throat and I'm really congested, but I don't really feel sick, so I'm guessing it is sinuses or the weather. So I went on kind of a dairy bender about 2 weeks ago, and I don't know if this is like the result of that and my body's punishing me for it, but I haven't had any since in hopes to kind of clear it up. So the first question for TTW number 34 is, what is the sickest you've ever been in your life? And for me, I guess it's an easy answer because when I was 14 or 15, I contracted meningitis. I was going through a lot at the time, and my parents were in the process of being separated and eventually getting divorced. And there was a lot of tension, and, there's different types of ways that people deal with that kind of stress. And I was just not eating. I would eat very, very little. I would have like a piece of toast for breakfast. I would eat all day at school. I don't even know if I had any fluids in my system. I didn't drink anything or eat anything till I got home from school. And then sometimes I would have dinner. Sometimes I would just have another piece of toast. And it wasn't like I was trying to lose weight or anything, or I was too focused on my weight. I didn't even notice it was happening. The reason that was such a nice distraction for me, or how should I say that? The reason I didn't really notice how very little I was eating was because I had a new boyfriend at the time that I was head over heels for, and I was spending as much time as I could either with him after school or talking to him on the phone or writing him notes or whatever the kids did back then. And this is going to be a little bit too much information. But basically, when I did get really, really sick, I was throwing up and I had the chills. And I had never been that sick before. I never felt so badly. And my mother instantly was like, "Are you pregnant?" Which is hilarious now, knowing what I know and knowing how impossible that was back then. But I ended up going to the hospital, and because I couldn't even stand up without having a terrible headache. And they did tell me that I had meningitis. I had to have a spinal tap, and I had to take like anal suppositories and all these drugs, and I couldn't even keep water down. I could not eat anything despite how hungry I felt like I was. I had more Jello. I had some kind of like raspberry Jello that summer for weeks and weeks, and I would just puke it back up, and yellow Gatorade. My mom kept giving me Gatorade to try and help me, but I just couldn't even keep water down, so anything more than that was too much. And it turns out the way that they think that I contracted it, and this is going to sound kind of disgusting, but being as malnourished as I was and having so very little to eat, and then making out with my boyfriend after school every day for hours and hours, because we were kind of at that stage where that's just all that was going on. Basically, my body was ingesting his saliva, and he was a carrier, so they said there's a really good chance he was the carrier. I got it from him, and he's not likely to ever be able to get it in his lifetime, but he can pass it on to someone who has a weak enough immune system as I did at the time. So it was really embarrassing, and it was really awful. People do die from that sometimes, and it can be very, very serious. So I was fortunate enough to get out of that. I basically spent one whole summer of my life on the couch, just completely immobile. I couldn't even shower because I couldn't stand up long enough to do that. So it was really, really difficult. And it was really scary for my mom. I know that she went through a lot, worrying about me and then trying to take care of us and being a newly single mom at the time, it was probably really horrible for her, but I've been lucky enough to never have been that sick again since. Question number 2 is, what is a remedy or like a go-to thing you do to comfort yourself when you are sick? I have this thing with Ringo noodle soup. It's this. This is an empty box of it because I ate them both. There was 2 packets in here. Whenever I start to even get the littlest, slightest hint that I feel like I'm going to be under the weather, I always want to have this soup. The problem is I recently discovered just how horrific it is for you. I'm just going to let you look at the nutrition facts on this. The serving size is 2 tablespoons. So basically, it says it makes about 1 cup when you've prepared it. That doesn't make sense because it says to use 4 cups of water. I don't know. Basically, I looked at this recently, and there's 700 milligrams of sodium in 2 tablespoons of this soup. So that really stinks because I try really hard to make sure that I don't have too much sodium in my diet. Lately, I really don't go for this like I always used to, which stinks because you know how there's always that one thing you want to be able to depend on comforting you when you don't feel well. And for me, it's this, and it's like so bad for you. So I'm going to have to find something new. And I know there's all these other wonderful things that I could do. Obviously, there's much healthier things I could do. But that's just what the little kid inside of me wants to resort to when I don't feel well. Question number 3 is, what is a sickness that scares you? And this is a horrible question for me because I'm terrified. And I'm not exaggerating this whatsoever. Down to my very core, I have very, very real fears about chronic or terminal illnesses, to the point where I've been basically forbidden by my husband to reference or source WebMD as any kind of diagnosis for anything that I think I'm feeling. And I really don't ever look anymore because it's always either you're fine or you're dying, and there's really no in between. So I don't like to even put the ideas in my head. I've also learned not to Google any kind of symptoms or images of symptoms because always the worst case scenario of pictures comes up. I had a spot in my arm that I wanted to look at. You know how in magazines they have like little photos of maybe what a suspicious mole would look like that you'd want to see a dermatologist about? I was just looking for pictures like that for reference. So of course I Googled basal cell carcinoma because I figured that's what it sounds like this might be. And I see these awful pictures of people who are missing half their face. So it's really not safe for Carissa to try and look up what's going on online, because all I do is worry myself and then make everyone else in my life completely miserable with my woes and my self-diagnosis. That is TTW this week. If you'd like to participate, make a video, create a video response on Lisa's TTW so she and everyone else who participated can see it. We all can learn about what we all like to eat when we're sick that we shouldn't eat. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye.